Hello, beautiful beings. Look at this radiance. See, I'm enlightened now. Look at that. I'm no, not enlightened. It's really sweet to be making a video. I think about I think about the people I know personally and the people I don't know personally, but who come by this channel who are in the process of recovering from and overcoming Neo-Advaita. Wow, that's pretty wild. That light is. Um, I think about you guys and gals often. So, um, what's really on my mind and heart right now is, well, let's face it, life is hard. Life, as the Buddha said, is full of dukkha, discomfort, pain, dissatisfaction. Yes, suffering. Suffering's really a limited translation of dukkha, but dissatisfaction, pain, whether it be stubbing a toe or whether it be having a psychotic break, like irritation all the way to like going nutso, like suffering beyond what most of us can fathom. And some of us can fathom it because we went through it with Neo-Advaita. So what to do about that? Well, the materialist answer is, as they say in the Bible, eat and drink for tomorrow we die. Like life is meaningless, so let's have a ball. Um, that's one possible answer. Uh, the Neo-Advaita answer is you don't exist, none of this is real, so just realize that and you won't suffer anymore. And a lot of us on this channel sure tried that route. I sure did. Or just inquire. If you just inquire, it will solve all your problems. If only. Um, so the traditional Advaita answer to that is not that you are an illusion or you don't exist. To the contrary, traditional Advaita teaches the exact opposite. But what they do teach is that identification is the problem, not these complex word games of you don't exist or nothing exists or your suffering is an illusion, but that you could say the problem is not illusion but delusion, that we have some wrong understandings that are very binding and create a lot of suffering. So that's been on my mind lately, is the traditional teaching versus the Neo-Advaita teaching, and then in my own experience, I've been starting to explore a non Advaita, traditional Advaita approach to disidentification called ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. And in ACT, they say the first step to change is just radical acceptance, just accepting whatever you're experiencing. That's not the final step, but they say it's the first step, and they offer tools for that. And one such tool is, it's not that I am, let's say you're experiencing depression, to change your thinking from not I am depressed, but I'm experiencing depression, or I'm observing depression. And so I've been playing around with that. I've played around with that before, but it always had the Neo-Advaita word games in it. And now that I'm done with that, and as I've said many times, I'm not following a traditional Advaita path, it's really helpful to not dissociate, because that's what Neo-Advaita is, dissociation, not dissociate from problems, but to disidentify, because it's like, like let's say I'm feeling really resentful, it's like resentment becomes like my whole identity and experience. Whereas with witnessing, it's like it can be there without running the show or being the full story. So it's been very profound for me to explore, you could say, these traditional non-dual practices from not a non-dual perspective, from just a healthy psychological perspective. And it's been really rich because ACT therapy, acceptance commitment therapy, doesn't just stop with acceptance, it starts with acceptance. And then the next is commitment, to identify your values and then live by your values, even when you don't feel good. That's the commitment part. The interesting thing is that's a great explanation of what the concept of dharma is in Vedic philosophy. We think of dharma as being a Buddhist thing, but in India and in Vedic philosophy, they had a concept of dharma well before the Buddha was there. And dharma is, in essence, um, engaging in activity that's harmonious for the whole. Uh, right relation, learning how to be in right relation to everything, including our bodies and our feelings and our house and our neighbor and our cat and the annoying bugs in the house. How to have harmonious interactions and relationships. So um, it's fascinating to me that this form of therapy, ACT, has a lot of the non-dual principles in it, or foundational non-dual, not non-dual principles, but foundational uh, the prerequisites for traditional non-duality are right there, because the prerequisites for traditional non-duality are to be psychologically healthy. One very famous Advaita teacher, traditional Advaita teacher, said that you have to, before the non-dual path, there has to be a level of maturity, and it's not something you'll hear in Neo-Advaita satsangs. So I'm really stoked about acceptance and commitment therapy, because someone who went far down the non-dual hole, not the non-dual hole, excuse me, the neo-non-dual hole, the fake non-duality hole. Um, I was very bad at acceptance, and my whole life was about dissociating and avoiding pain, suffering, and discomfort. Whereas pain, suffering, and discomfort are um, a fact of life. And even after enlightenment, I don't even like to use that word anymore because it means so many different things to so many different people. But after liberation, which is the traditional word in both Buddhism and Vedic philosophy, in Buddhism nirvana and Vedic philosophy mukti or moksha, after liberation there's still pain. There's just not suffering, and when there is suffering, it doesn't hook. Um, and it's debatable whether or not they're suffering, but there's definitely continues to be pain. The body has pain. Ramana cried the day after Gandhi's assassination. Um, he sometimes cried about the political goings-ons at his ashram. By political, I mean organizational. Um, so so this learning how to just accept my human self, the experience of my human self. I don't even want to say my human self, my. But here we are in the non-dual speak, but or trying to overcome non-dual speak. Because I like relative self or embodied self or incarnated self, but it's a really missing tool. Was a really missing not just tool, way of life. Because whenever there was a problem, I'd be like, who is it? Who is it who's suffering? Or who is it that's aware of the problem? Or who is it that's angry? It's just dissociation, dissociation, dissociation. And dissociation works in the short term. It's a great short term coping strategy for things that are just too much to handle. So, so I'm a big fan of ACT therapy, at least for myself. And then the other thing that comes to mind is, um, I keep trying to come up with a model or a map for how to recover from Neo-Advaita, and I put one on my website, but it's going to look different for everybody. You know, I had one person write me one time and say that Wim Hof breath work was one of the main ways that he got out of it. Got him back in connected to his body. So, there's not a set formula, but there are some set principles of re-engaging with your humanity, body, emotions, and cultivating a balanced life, and finding a sense of purpose, dharma, or vocation, or service, and um, valuing relationship, valuing hobbies, um, relearning how to have fun, just how to have conversations, how to shoot the shit. So, yeah, those are a few of my thoughts. Hope it's helpful to a few of you. Blessings to you, and may one day you be as radiantly glowing as I am. And I always mean to say this at the beginning, but please don't blindly believe anything I say. I'm just sharing my experience and my best understanding of the difference between traditional Advaita and Neo-Advaita. And I've studied with multiple traditional Advaita teachers. Not, as I've said many times, Advaita is not my path, but part of my path of recovering from fake Advaita was to learn enough traditional Advaita to help me break free. And I will say it's an ongoing breaking free. And I feel that I've broken free from most of the crap, and now it's like learning how to live, how to be a balanced human being. So thank you so very much for dropping by. Blessings to you, and take care. Much love.